It was really funny, because usually when you're away, right,
Yeah.
you don't really walk out with the jackets. It's when you're home you walk out with your jackets, right?
Yes.
But Liverpool walked out with the jackets because I think they were trying to hide how shocking the third kid was, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sort of like Brentford game by the afternoon and sort of McD delivery by the night.
Yeah, definitely. And the collar, you saw the
Yeah,
collar.
it's just it's what a shocking third kid. I just want to put it out there. Nike, I think, man. I mean, you have a lot of great kids out there this season, but I mean, could be doing a lot better than that. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
no, I mean it's
But
like
yeah, I
a
mean, what a
horrible
great
paint
kid,
job
man.
at the collar.
Yeah. And it's Arsenal FC. They're by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. And it's
Back
Arsenal
again.
back again. Oh, sorry. I had to sing that song because I did not think, Al, since we started the show that we'd ever be singing that song ever again. But
Yep.
that performance by the Arsenal boys really warranted that song. I think Emirates was in full flow. Haven't seen that for so long. Anyway,
Mm.
hi guys, welcome to
This
another
is
recording of the Al and Jerry Football Podcast with me, Jerry, and my buddy Al.
what's up, guys? How you all doing? Fantastic week of football, fantastic weekend of football, and hey, Arsenal win. I never thought I'd be hearing that and saying that against a big club, against a big
A
team, against a big
convincing
in a
Arsenal
big
win, Al. A
fixture.
convincing Arsenal win.
Convincing Arsenal win. Convincing Arsenal win. What's next?
Yeah,
Unicorns?
Matt props. Ah man, what's next? Dementors showing their way, probably, since it's been raining. Yeah, so guys, today it's raining like pretty heavily. So if there's any sort of
It is.
disturbances in the audio, just excuse us. But yeah, no excuses given for Nuno and Spurs. I mean, just to start with Arsenal, Al, what a what a first half. I think a lot of fans is always saying this is one of the best first halves they've ever seen in the Arteta era
Mm.
of Arsenal play. I mean, in terms of energy, terms of pressing, attacking, finishing, and just all around sort of, they're calling it Arteta ball, I guess, in terms of how Wenger used to play in
Yeah.
one touch, passing move, constantly on the move. So he never dawdled on the ball. And I think all of those elements showed itself in that first half performance. But I'd like to give props to obviously the boys made in Hale End, Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith
Mm.
Rowe. I think I
Yeah.
saw something out like the day after the match. I thought it was really cool. They were both sitting together for lunch the day before, I think the morning before, discussing
Mm.
the North London derby, and both of them said, "Imagine how crazy it'd be if both of them were to get a goal." And they did. They
Yeah.
actually
And
stepped
they
up and
did.
they did get a
Yeah.
goal. I mean, those kind of moments in football, that it's really fairy tale stuff and stuff that fans, I think, from
Mm.
all over the world love to hear. The fact that two young boys growing up in Arsenal, experiencing all that culture, finally breaking into the first team and playing their first North London derby together, and probably two of the outstanding players in that team. But mad props. Oh my god, I got no jokes for Arsenal.
Mm.
No Scenes FC. Well, it was Scenes FC, but
But
no
good
no
scenes.
no joke.
Good scenes.
Good scenes. Good scenes. No, it was a madness. To be honest, it was a madness. At first half, it was a madness. I mean, Spurs fans walking out the stadium before the first half ended. That itself told you everything.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of the performance? Especially, I guess, to talk about the attacking boys, but defensively. So, what do you think defensively now with that back line of Gabriel, Ben White, um, uh, Takehiro Tomiyasu, and
Tomiyasu.
yeah, and even Aaron Ramsdale as well. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, firstly, I apologize if there's any delay because again, the rain is quite heavy here as well. So I might be getting messages a bit slower, and there might be messages being sent out also a bit slower. But nevertheless, right? Arsenal were fantastic. I remember on this podcast some weeks back, we were mentioning that they have to play with heart against City. They've got to be winning
Play
every
for the
second
badge.
ball against big teams. They've got to play for the badge. And obviously, we were disappointed. We didn't see that. But my word, we see that and so much more on Sunday. I tell you, it was fantastic. I mean, this is exactly what you want. Yeah, we'll talk about the boys from Hale later on. Of course, they were, it's it is something which you cannot imagine to be in their shoes. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal look good, right?
Yeah.
Arsenal were playing like there was no tomorrow. That was what I felt, you know, like the London Derby actually really feel they were up for it, and that's what
Yeah.
you want to see. That's what
From
you
the
want to
minute
see.
go, they were up for
Obviously
it.
they were under the cosh from the start of the season. Some poor results, but Arteta, good to see him happy as well. He was cheering on the goals. You could see a little bit of a glow. Otherwise
Yeah.
it was very doom and gloom over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, looking at the defense, to answer your question very quickly, Tomiyasu, very, very comfortable at right back, very, very
Yeah.
commanding. You know, he looks smooth. There wasn't a foot wrong. And of course, props to the others as well. Ben White looked good. The keeper has been having 2, 3 good games already. Arsenal
Yeah.
looked good overall.
Yeah.
I thought perhaps the Bukayo Saka goal Spurs could have done a little bit better. But even Granit Xhaka played fantastically well. We were
Yeah.
saying that Xhaka could be the mismatch here in this Arsenal team, but he played well.
Yes.
He held well. Odegaard played fantastic. I thought Aubameyang was great, fantastic. All of them played well, and you see, if when the team clicks and when they play for the badge, as we've mentioned before, this Arsenal team, they look like they could go and beat anyone on their day. Because I mean, of course, Spurs were poor. Let's not. Spurs were really poor. Spurs, I thought Harry Kane had a bad game. I thought, perhaps Son got a goal, obviously, and Reguilon had few moments here and there, but I thought Spurs in general throughout the whole game were very quiet. I thought they were not on their day. They were not on their good game. But Arsenal were fantastic, and we've got to see that these players, if Arteta can make them gel, good transfers. Tomiyasu playing well. Obviously, Odegaard given the players a lot of a lift, and Bukayo Saka, Aubameyang, he held up play fantastic. So I only wish well to Arsenal, and I hope that they can kick on after this. Because if they can beat Spurs, they can beat anyone. They can beat your United. They can beat. Of course, big tests are going to come. I think they are far more well-structured teams than Tottenham, definitely. But well done, Arsenal. Well done, Arsenal. Good on them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought they
Yeah.
thoroughly deserved it.
Yeah, Al, I think we were speaking just before the match and speaking especially on Xhaka and whether he would start. And both of us picked him not to start, actually. I think both of us
Mm.
went with the younger, sort of more
Yeah.
exciting prospect of Sambi Lokonga. But I mean, I
Mm.
think you can see the difference Thomas Partey makes in that midfield. I think both of them sitting at the back there with that double
Definitely.
pivot, like we always talk about. And I think Partey was having a party, man. I mean, he was just
Party was
dictating
having a
play,
party. No Thomas, no
attacking.
party.
Yeah, no Thomas, no Partey. Can have multiple puns with that, and we will enjoy the puns over the course of the season. But yes, I mean, I think Xhaka, he was under a lot less pressure, definitely. I think with Thomas
Mm.
Partey in there and sort of a balance now with Odegaard so he can sort of hold the ball in that midfield, I think Xhaka
Yeah.
looked a lot more comfortable. Definitely a few rash tackles and a few rash fouls, but aside
Mm.
from that, I think it was a solid performance. And he was probably not even, I mean, by the standards of that day, probably the worst player in the team. But I mean, the standards were
Yeah.
almighty high. And I think
Were really
there were a few
high.
moments as well. When
Yeah.
I was watching the match, I saw there was one point that Ramsdale, I think he saved a Harry Kane shot. So he pushed it to his side,
Mm.
and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Tomiyasu was immediately there to clear. And both of them were just hyped. They were pushing each other and they were hyped. And I think haven't seen that in a long time. I think with Haki B, with Hector Bellerin, I think he's not been covering up that right hand side a lot. And I mean, for someone who's played his third game in the Premier League, to keep Son quiet is no small feat. to keep
Yeah,
Heung-min
no
Son quiet, because
swapping.
he was sort of shielding Heung-min Son on that left-hand side for Spurs and right-hand side in that
Mm.
Arsenal defense. Aside from that, Gabriel Magalhaes, I think, wow, super solid, super solid. I mean,
Yeah,
he's instantly make a difference, and he makes Ben White look the immediately like that 5 times taller, And also
yeah,
with Aaron
yeah,
Ramsdale, I think surprisingly for a young goalkeeper coming into a club like Arsenal with that size, blah blah blah, but he's been very commanding of his box. I feel one of the
yes,
things about
yes,
Ramsdale, he's been shouting at his defenders, and he's like constantly on his defenders, and sometimes that can be annoying as a defender for sure. But you need your keeper to be commanding. I think you need your keeper to be communicating and shouting always, like constantly, just sort of barking orders at that back line, and I think it's
yeah,
perfect. And Aubameyang with the classic Thierry Henry celebration with Henry and Daniel Ek,
yeah.
owner of Spotify, in the crowd. Do you
I
think
know.
the owner of
I saw that.
Spotify can have a go? You think he wants to
No,
buy
I must
Arsenal?
say Thierry. I must say Thierry Henry firstly and foremost looks like he's got styling and profiling like Ric Flair in his heyday, and looking good with the jersey on and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
we've all been hearing about Daniel Ek wanting to take over Arsenal, Spotify owner, and so on. And I've been hearing that Daniel Ek wants to form a back room of Arsenal legends and Arsenal ex-players to
yeah,
follow
yeah,
him into this buying of Arsenal. Well, it could be good. It could be good. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Arsenal fans have been asking for change and a different takeover of different, and of course, Daniel Ek could be one of them. Time has got to be showing us how exactly this can really pan out to be, but it could be something good. Definitely, if looking at Arsenal fans in the history, I think everybody would be welcoming this sort of a new change. And then, of course,
yeah,
with Thierry Henry, I bet Arsenal fans would be loving that, definitely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think just ending on this game, another question I wanted to ask you was, where does that leave Nuno and Spurs right now? I think definitely it's a bit too, it's a bit too soon. I think a bit too premature to be
Yeah.
asking for his head and asking him to leave. I think he needs to be
Mm.
given definitely a little bit of a chance and probably to have his own squad. I wanted to ask you, where does that
Yeah.
leave Nuno quickly, if you can tell me, so we can move on? And also, do you think Harry Kane, it's starting to show that do you think it was a mistake to hold on to Harry Kane? Do you think they should have got the money and just banked on a new signing and tried to rebuild the squad? Do you think now Harry Kane will be holding that team back?
If with Harry Kane, if only he had attended a few more training
Old
sessions,
Harold.
who knows? Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, with Nuno Espirito Santo, I think it's not warning signs yet. I think it's
Yeah.
still too early. It's definitely still too early to judge him on anything because Spurs started very well. But they didn't have a very good September, and they've got Aston Villa coming next. So obviously that's not going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. But they've got to pick something out. I think they've got to definitely. I think Nuno has got to find out his weaknesses and find out where the team needs to improve. I think obviously players like Son, even for Harry Kane for that matter, even though I thought he didn't have the best of games. I think players like Son, Harry Kane, Dele Alli, Serge Reguilon, all these players, they've got to do a little bit better. They're your starters. I think Spurs are not spoiled for choice to have a immense squad depth, but they're your starters. They're the ones who you need to step up on the pitch. Fullbacks pressing on, bombing on. I thought Son had a good goal, but even him, I mean, Gabriel, Ben White, Tomiyasu, even on the right, they pocketed all those Spurs attackers very well. I thought
Yeah.
Spurs were not
Yeah.
intensive enough. Every second ball, Arsenal were out there to win them. So with a team like Aston Villa coming to you, because we can see what Villa can do, and they've got to be a lot more aggressive. They've got to take it on to the Aston Villa team because they can. It's not like they don't have the players, but it's like the players that I mentioned. They've got to step up. Santo, I think Espirito Santo is not the call for his head yet, but we know very well if results don't go
Yeah.
his way, he's gone by Christmas. It can happen, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So
I saw a few
obviously
fans
not
saying,
alarm
they
signs,
sacked.
but he has to do
Yeah, I saw
better.
a few fans saying they sacked Mourinho and appointed his uncle.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of looks like that. So yeah, just to end on that point, I guess North London is red. The only thing that was white in North London was Ben White. So,
Definitely.
so moving on to another team that starts with A, Aston Villa. Wow, coming to Old Trafford, caught Courtney House with the only goal on the day.
Mhm.
Al, what can you tell me about that game? You watched that game. What can you tell me about it?
I mean, Emmy Martinez is channeling some classic WWF heel action. It was as though I was watching a WWF match going on.
Right, right.
WWE, as they
Yeah.
call it now. But
It was
yeah,
like Conor McGregor getting
uh,
into like his opponent's head,
oh
just shit
yeah,
talking. The shithousery is like at its
yeah,
best.
Conor McGregor shithousery, all in one. And yeah, Aston Villa. I thought they came with a low block. We'll speak about Villa first. They were the team that won the game of the night. Villa
Yeah,
came with a low block. Villa had the best chances in the game, I thought. Villa had the more clear-cut chances.
right.
Villa did the best that they could, right? I thought defensively, Cristiano Ronaldo was very quiet. So
Yeah,
obviously, Villa came with a game plan, frustrate Man United. The keeper took more than 1 minute to take every ball, hold on to the ball, take a goal kick, take your time. So obviously, we know
right,
the game
right,
plan, right?
right.
And I think all of these things are what we can expect from an away team coming to a team like your Man United's and whatnot. And of course, Man United
Yeah,
definitely saw that. But looking at Aston Villa, right, looking at the away win that they've got, and looking at players that didn't play, like for instance Leon Bailey, I think this is only going to be pushing on to the season. They've got Spurs next. Obviously, Spurs licking their wounds a little bit. So of course, Villa could be saying to themselves, look, this could be a 6 out of a 6 for us. This could be 6 points on the road for us, where we could just take from your Uniteds and your Spurs, because I think Villa got the firepower. I thought John McGinn had a good game. I thought Villa in a whole, you know, it's coming with a plan. It's executing the plan. Of course, we could argue the goal was against the run of play a little bit, a corner, and a lucky break from that corner, and of course taking in the goal. But you've only got to take your chances. But for Man United, on the other hand, I thought chances were few in between. This were the same problems that we've been mentioning. It's not like there's different problems every week for Man United. I think it's the
yeah, yeah,
same problems that are occurring week in, week out. It's
yeah.
the midfield. It's the
Could you
midfield.
pick
I
out any
think
issues, Al, from that match? Sorry to interrupt. Could you pick out any issues in particular that we could talk
no,
about?
no, no
Because
worries.
one thing I saw was that the backline was a bit shaky. There was a moment in that first half, I think, where um, I don't know whose mistake it was. Was it De Gea who sold Maguire's shot, or was it Maguire who sold De Gea's shot?
Hmm.
And especially in the middle of the park, was there anything that you saw that was missing that United needs? Sort of, was there sort of a missing link in that midfield? Was the backline not really sorted? Because if I'm not mistaken, the Aston Villa goal came from a set piece, right?
Yes, it was. It did come from a set piece. I think when you look at Man United, I think we can pick up three things that we can speak about. Of course, firstly is the team, right?
Yeah.
Secondly is of course the substitutions that were made, because two substitutions were had to be made in injury, and of course, thirdly, the manager, right? Now, I think the team, firstly with the team very quickly, when we look at it, I think the midfield is still the biggest fundamental problem. I think
Right.
with your defense, I don't think it's that solid. We spoke about how Arsenal was solid. I don't think that Ben White made Gabriel look good and vice versa. Sorry, I don't think that Rafael Varane made Harry Maguire comfortable at all times and vice versa.
Right.
I think they're
Right.
still trying to work out how to play with each other, right? But the midfield is almost as though if your Pogbas and your Fernandes don't have a good game, that's it. Your midfield is non-existent,
Mm-hmm.
right? I thought Fred and McTominay not to just hang them out to dry, but they did try and bring the ball out a little bit, right? But I thought
Right.
Man United as a whole on the day, I thought they were shambles. I think when
Mm-hmm.
we look at it honestly, the substitutions, two of them had to be made
Mm-hmm.
because of injuries, Maguire and Luke Shaw. And when we look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his third and final substitution, he decides to bring on Edison Cavani, who hasn't been playing yet at
Right.
all, right?
Right.
And you've got Jadon Sancho on the bench. And this is the type of game where you're shouting for a creative player who can play on the right because of how many goals he's been crossing onto Erling Haaland from last season, right?
Right.
United needed that sort of creative touch, but they didn't get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for this season, I think it's the same problems that he has got to sort out. Definitely. He's definitely got to sort that out because if you look at it, it's the same thing. And this has got to do with coaching, right? There is an element to coaching that you've got to touch upon to say, now you've got to work with the midfielders that you have, but it's the same one-dimensional problems that you have, right? There was an instance when Diogo Dalot came on and there was Cavani having the ball and Dalot did not overlap when there was acres of space. He decided to fall back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that's not match sharpness or whether that's the manager screaming in his ear during training, I would not know. But Solskjaer has got a problem to sort out now, definitely, because the games are not coming any easier for them. I think they've got like Everton next, and they've got like Liverpool at the end of the month or something like the end of the month of October and something like that.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing because Solskjaer's got to do something and win convincingly. I remember Carragher saying, just to end on that point, I remember Carragher saying once that if your Guardiola or your Klopps had a squad like Man United, I think you'd see much more than that. I think, and honestly, I really agree too. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I hate it when young managers have to get sacked, definitely for anybody for that matter. But I mean, it's looking as though it's more worrying for him than if we compare with Spurs' manager Santos.
Yeah.
Because I think Solskjaer's got to show something. But yeah, at the end of the day, joy for Villa, but shambles for Man United, definitely.
Yeah. I think definitely Ollie has a few problems there. Looks like his midfield problem. I don't know how he's going to solve it. Probably Scholes has to come out of retirement. Probably.
Yeah, I know. Get
Second
Scholes
for the
on,
second
get
time.
Keane on. yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
If Roy Keane could, back up the way he talks and put it on the pitch again, I think a lot of United fans really love it. Or maybe just walk into that dressing room and sort everybody out. But definitely, I think now sort of people are starting to ask questions of Ollie. I think Ollie out has been trending a few times. And I mean, you can't really blame, with the sort of the team that he has, the amount of attacking talent that he has, I think that midfield problem can be a small problem if you play the right way and if there is some sort of game plan, I think, but it seems like the attackers can't even they can't even bail out the midfield, so it's just exposing that problem even more. And I think as the season go on, if he does not find sort of something to cap that midfield, it might be exposed even more and more. But it's too early to tell. Definitely, I think they can easily turn it around, but they just have to start doing it quickly. But now the question lies with the fact that you've got two world-class managers. I would say world-class in that sense right now, vacant, not having position. Someone like, Antonio Conte and Zinedine Zidane, both of them without any jobs. If you're Man United now, would you take this opportunity? Would there be another opportunity where managers, because I have to tell you, clubs have to move fast to get them, because I don't think they're going to be staying sort of unemployed for long. I think many clubs in Italy will be jumping at the chance to probably get Conte back there, and any club, I think. And even with Zidane now, I think he's someone who's plied his trade at in Spain, and I think he'd be looking to maybe expand his horizons a bit, maybe, step in old wet England, cold and rainy England, but I'm not too sure, But do you think if you're Man United now, you go for one of them just so that you can solidify what you already have in the squad right now? Or do you sort of persist with Oli till the end of the season?
No, honestly, since it's funny that you mentioned this because I was looking at the Ole out trending Twitter feed, and I saw lots of that, and I saw Conte's name and Zidane's name brought up a lot, right? Now, I can't speak for Man United fans, but sometimes I'd like to ask them because sometimes, as with all big teams, right? I suppose fans can be very overreactionary, but have we actually seen Antonio Conte play? And we've seen him in Chelsea before. But I think that style of play is going to be something that Man United fans are going to be starting to complain about after a season. And if you
Right.
look at
Right.
Antonio Conte, brilliant manager, yeah, brilliant manager.
Yeah.
But he's the type of guy who's going to come in and tell the owners, I want this. You can't give it to me. I'm out
Definitely.
of the door.
Definitely.
Yeah. So the Glazers are not going to be doing stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
The Glazers are as your hard-hitting men like your Arsenal owners. It doesn't work that way, you know. Chelsea's Abramovich, I think that's a different story altogether, right? And Antonio Conte's gameplay is great, but it could be sometimes negative, you know. So I'm looking
Mm.
at Conte and thinking, are you guys, you guys had Mourinho before, right? Do you guys really want to go back down that route? Because Conte is a fighter as well. No? This guy is not going to keep quiet. This guy is going to
Yeah.
be, hey, you tap puas
Yeah.
hati means I'm going to go against you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he's not going to be a I mean, he's a man manager, of course,
Fiery,
I'm sure,
fiery
but
Italian. He
fiery
doesn't look like
fella,
someone you want to mess with.
fiery Italian fella.
He's
Exactly.
definitely going to have his
So
demands, I think.
definitely. So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking Zidane might be maybe a more fathomable one. But
Yeah.
even with that, Jerry, I mean, he's got no prior experience in
England.
where week in, week out, you are getting matches that is going to be as demanding. I mean, La Liga
Right.
is essentially something of where I believe it's not the same, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at it on that very aspect of things, I think, you know, for me, if I look at it on a Man United perspective, I think Man United fans would really benefit from somebody like a Nagelsmann, like a Eric Ten Hag. Of course, they are not in the market at the moment. They're not able for people to get them, for Man United to get them. But would you really want a Zidane and a Conte? I think I would say be careful of what you wish for. I mean, that's my opinion if you look at it, especially on the Conte perspective.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah. 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 I think there's nothing much there to say. I think, Zidane is someone who has played with Ronaldo before. He could probably get the best out of
Yeah.
Ronaldo and maybe, inspire some of the French players, like someone like Pogba, definitely be inspired. I think if
Yeah,
you're
definitely
talking
that's a
about,
good point. The French
yeah, if
connection, the
you're
Ronaldo
talking,
connection.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's just that. I mean, with Varane there as well, it could be, Martial even
Yeah,
could
yeah.
like, really revel,
Mm,
with someone like
mm.
Zidane coming in. But I mean, if you're talking about a midfield problem that's being solved, I think he could just step on the pitch and solve the problem himself. you know. But
He's
aside
the
from
best
that,
guy, lah. You know, I would put him. I would play
yeah.
him. I'd play him definitely.
But yeah, someone like
You know, he
Zidane
could
would
just
definitely,
headbutt Emi
yeah.
Martinez.
I think he could literally solve a midfield problem in just one sentence. I think he'll know how to sort of nurture midfielders, young midfielders, on how to dictate.
Mm,
Because I think Pogba is really at that age where, he's not gonna get any better in that sense where really like
yeah,
get more skills. I think he has the max skills that he has now. And I think if someone like Pogba,
yeah,
right, can dictate the play like how Scholes did and Zidane did and all those people did, I mean, since he's so good on the ball, he can take time on the ball, and just like really slow down play, pick
yeah.
up play when he needs to, and really cement himself there. If not, it's going to be a constant thing. Is he consistent enough? Is he this enough? I mean, we don't want to be doing that, Al. I don't think we want to be like focusing on one player too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Yeah,
got to be more disciplined if he wants to do that role.
definitely. Definitely. I think there's a lot of things there. But in that sense, so United basically losing their unbeaten record, with a loss at home, especially. I
Mm.
think now two losses at home straight with West Ham, but I think they'll have a chance to redeem themselves midweek in with Villarreal there. I think one thing about Ole, despite all the pressure, he has always sort of bounced back and prevailed through it all. So if
Yeah,
United
yeah,
go the old school style of just sort of having your faith in the manager and sticking with him through thick and thin, I think something could come out of it. But definitely lot needs to be done in that sense. So moving on, Stamford Bridge in London. Stunned silence. Bridge was stunned to silence and resumed its reputation as the library again. But no, I'm just kidding. I mean, it didn't. Okay, to be honest, Al, I mean, it didn't seem like City were coming to play Chelsea. They were playing like it was, Norwich that was coming to the bridge to play them because I don't know, because I watched the game. I was just supremely disappointed with the way Chelsea and Tuchel set up. I thought he was going to be a little bit more attacking because I think City sort of, yeah, they dictated the whole game in terms of even possession. They had 60% possession at the end of the game. I mean,
Yeah,
with the lineup itself, I think both of us were pretty optimistic. I think when we looked at it before the match with Werner and Lukaku up top, I think both of us was like, okay, we got a game on our hands there. But I think that game was such a good advert for Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, because Chelsea definitely lacked that creativity, and it was a very, very lackluster performance by Chelsea, I felt, because I mean they didn't have many chances. Even Lukaku was like really quiet, and that shows. I think
mm,
he definitely needs to improve against the bigger team, something that we spoke about there, you know. But
yeah, definitely, yeah.
I just didn't expect that sort of yeah, lack of cutting edge by Chelsea, I mean, defense does win you titles, no doubt, that's for sure. But you definitely need sort of attacking, free flowing team. You can't. I think Tuchel wanted to sort of soak up City's pressure and try to probably
Mm,
nick a result. But I would have expected that when they were playing, let's say if they were playing at the Etihad, not at Stamford
not
Bridge,
at
I would have
Cambridge, yeah.
expected them to sort of take the game to City at Stamford Bridge and show them why they should win the league. But Pep, he came, he had a job to do and he did it. So I mean, yeah, I mean on the day I think Chelsea definitely missed Mason Mount and Kai Havertz there. But moving on from Chelsea, I think it was a solid performance like by City. Defensively, I was shocked because Ruben Diaz was the captain on the day, even with De Bruyne and the team. So
Mm,
I'm wondering now whether he's sort of the first team captain now, and um Pep is sort of giving Ruben Diaz that responsibility, to sort of lead that back line because he was pretty solid, I have to say, and definitely they shut out Lukaku. But in the second half, City really had Chelsea on the ropes. I mean, they could
yeah,
have
City
got
showed their
goals.
dominance. That
Yeah, I think Grealish could have got a few goals as well. I mean, he had a good
mm,
performance towards the end, and he would have definitely been disappointed not to come back with a goal. But
yeah,
Jesus, Gabriel Jesus, do you
Gabriel
think
Jesus.
it's a cry out, it's a call for him to be put in the middle already and to stop him, the whole experiment down the side? Don't get me wrong, I think he would definitely play some games on the wing when they need
Mm,
sort of
mm.
pace and directness on the right wing. But in the big games, in the decisive games, do you think Jesus sort of warrants a place in that striker role? Given his goal and his overall sort of performance over the weekend against Chelsea.
That's a tough one because when I look at it, Gabriel Jesus, he had I think it was City Norwich, I think, the opening early games, and he had a damn good game on the side
On
of
the
the
right
wing.
wing, yeah,
Yeah,
with
on the
three
right
assists,
wing.
basically three assists on
Yeah,
that day. I
three
think it was
assists.
against, yeah,
I, I am yet. I mean, it's got to be a few games before we actually can make that thorough statement whether he can be their central figure. Number one, I think whether Pep is going to be trusting him for the whole course of a season again is going to be a big factor because we did see a lot of that last season, right? Of course, having gotten the goal against Chelsea, that would definitely have given him a lift, right?
yeah,
But having said that, I thought the goal was a scruffy goal as well. It was a
yeah.
pinball in the box, and
Deflection,
I
sort of,
think
yeah,
deflected shot. Yeah, yeah. And I personally think that he would struggle when it comes to teams that are going to be playing like how Chelsea did. I don't see him to be the solution for Manchester City's front problems. Of course, Pep would persist with him, and of course he got the goal. But I personally, Jerry, I don't see it. I don't think that he would be the mobile number nine, or rather, City don't play with a number nine per se, but the mobile central forward that they are looking for. I really
yeah,
think that they're going to be going out to get a Harry Kane in the summer. And I think that
right.
that's going to be their central figure. But of course, for this season, it could be something where Pep is going to put him in the middle. I thought looking at
Yeah,
that game, just to touch on a little bit from what you said, I think the first half both teams were looking not to lose rather than I think they have a good team, and I would have liked to see them threaten Manchester City a little bit. Werner and Lukaku didn't have the best cohesion as well. There was one chance that was cleared very well. I think it was by Laporte, I think. And then, yeah, in the second half, also Kovacic had a very good chance that was cleared by Ruben Diaz. And
Yeah.
that could be perhaps the reason as to why, Guardiola trusts him so much in the center of defense, and he trusts him to lead the team forward. Second half, I thought City rolled on. I thought City showed their quality. You're right, Jack Grealish had a few chances. He had a very good chance that was, fingertip save by Bernard
Mendy.
Mendy.
Yeah.
But yeah, City looked in the second half the one which was with more class, more quality over the park, which is funny because I thought Chelsea could have showed them that they too could have had that solid performance to go and get that win as well, which we didn't see. We didn't see that. I thought Chelsea were slightly lackluster. The tactics were more not to lose rather than to win. And I would want to see Tuchel change this because I thought against Liverpool before the red card, they were very progressive. I thought they
Yes.
were playing,
Yes.
they were playing to try and win the game at Anfield, which is funny because
Yeah.
when they played against City over the weekend, they didn't show that. So Tuchel's got to
Mhm.
change that because, I think if he wants to have aspirations, which is going to be winning the league, that also includes by beating this top 6 teams,
Yeah.
your Cities, your Liverpools and all of that. And yeah, definitely Chelsea's got to push on forward. They do have the team.
I don't feel, Al, that there was any. I mean, definitely it wasn't a major problem for Tuchel, but I think it shows that you can't sort of rely on your defense to sort of carry you through these games. I think you really need to be brave in that aspect and really go for it against the bigger teams like City. And I mean, players like Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, I think it
Kai
just shows
Havertz.
that, yeah, they're needed in sort of games like this to sort of break them open, or even have some sort of attacking threat. But I mean, performance, energy wise, even I felt Chelsea were lacking. Maybe it was a little bit of fatigue. I'm not too sure, but definitely early in the season and something that he can definitely look to change. Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah,
But I think
definitely.
Pep was
Mason Mount was a big
definitely.
miss now.
Yeah, he was definitely missed. I don't think he was even in the squad as well, because he wasn't even named on the bench. So it seemed like Tuchel was asking him to sit this one out because he didn't have an injury, I think, to warrant him not being in the squad because yeah, he wasn't even on the bench. So it was Havertz, Loftus-Cheek and Silva who came on. So definitely I think yeah, a few things for Tuchel to ponder on there, and definitely to avoid this sort of performance, especially against the big teams. I think they really need to come out the gates really strong,
Yeah,
then maybe
yeah,
go defensive. But yeah, I
exactly.
think
Yeah.
City were the happier team on that day, and yeah, it'll be
They showed
interesting.
their class in the second half.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
something
yeah.
Guardiola would have been happy about.
So basically Chelsea guys are losing sort of unbeaten record, and now I think the onus is on them to sort of pick up again and sort of create some sort of, with that squad depth that they have and the players that they have, I think they can bounce back from this definitely. But speaking of unbeaten record, Al, I think the Liverpool's unbeaten record was nearly
Oh
nearly
yeah, what a game!
nearly blitzed by Brentford there. I think the bees were buzzing, man, on Saturday night. What can you
Bees
what can
were
you tell me
buzzing.
about
Honey was made. Honey was almost served.
it? Yeah. And Liverpool definitely did feel their sting. That back line of Van Dijk, Matip,
Yeah,
Robertson.
yeah.
That guy, Brian Mbeumo, I was watching him, man. He had a game. He was spinning Robertson left and right. Really.
No, it was a fantastic game. I think it was at 12:30 midnight on Sunday early morning, Saturday late night.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, if you'd asked me the weekend's games, I think this was the best game that I've watched. It was
Yeah.
just end
Great
to end,
advert for
and
the Premier League.
yeah, great advert for the Premier League, spot on there. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, when I think Liverpool, I think they no, sorry, Brentford scored first, and of course then Liverpool equalized through Jota,
Yeah.
and where
Yeah.
Salah got a goal, fantastic, well taken goal as well. I'm looking at these two sides here, and we'll start off with Liverpool, right? Of course, unbeaten record, and they looked really good on the day. I thought perhaps if you want to pick out criticism, I thought the defense could have been a little bit much
Yeah,
more solid for some of the goals, right? But they look, and this is no surprise. They look like they've got a plan. They look like they've got a proper strategy in games like this. They take the game to teams like Brentford, progressive teams like Brentford, and I thought, Jordan Henderson had a good game, and Mo Salah, of course, definitely, gunman in the box. Curtis Jones had a worldie.
yeah,
Again, that could be another worry, another concern, because Sadio Mane's shooting boots has not been polished for a long time, and that
yeah.
could be a slight little concern. Enough about Liverpool, enough about waxing lyrical about them. What about
Mm.
Brentford? I mean,
Yeah, I mean they had
fantastic
a game plan,
honestly.
man. They had a
They
game
had a
plan,
game
and
plan
and
too.
it
This is what
wasn't
I've been
just hitting
surprised.
Liverpool on the counter. It was actual like tactical build-up play.
Exactly, exactly. Ivan Tony, I thought had a good game. He had a goal ruled out for offside, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there
I
was this
mean,
one
the
picture at
first
the end.
goal came from his assist. So from the
Yes,
left side. So Robertson with the mistake there, I think he could have been a little bit more
yeah,
stronger in that sense. But it was literally just a flick. And Ethan Pinnock, first Jamaican to score in the English Premier League with a goal as
yes,
well. I think he had a solid
yes,
game at centre back. I think Ethan
exactly.
Pinnock
Yeah.
again was another one to look out for. But yeah, that front line out of Mbuemo, um, Ivan Toney, and even Sergi
Three,
Canos from that right
yeah,
hand flank, sort
being
of
the first
really,
Jamaican and all
yeah.
that. Three little birds were flying really high when he scored the first goal, and you could hear the whole stadium buzzing. But I mean, if we spoke about Chelsea and City and their first half being very much, not wanting to take the game forward, this was like high octane fifth gear, sixth
Yeah,
gear stuff from the
end to
get go.
end, end to end. It was
Yeah,
non-stop, man.
it
It
was
was
it was
non-stop.
non-stop. It was end to end. Credit both teams, credit to them. I think, in games like this, I think a draw is the most fairest of results on the surface of things, because you go home, you're thinking you would have wanted the win. I think if you wanted to pick out a team that probably would be a little bit more disappointed than the other, I think Liverpool would be the one. I thought Liverpool, having got the third goal, maybe they could have seen the game out. But credit
Yeah,
Brentford. They never gave up.
yeah,
Guinea-Bissau had a goal 8 minutes before time, and credit to them. I think Brentford are going to be going far this season. Looking at them, and credit them, credit to their manager. They've been kicking on from day one. They've beaten Arsenal. They drew with Liverpool. They are here to stay. I'm definitely sure of that.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, what a great game! What a great game! I think Brentford just did not give up, and true test, I think, for those players, and I think they really stepped up to it. You know,
Mm.
first when I saw the teams get out, I think they looked really sort of up for it.
Yeah,
And with
yeah,
Liverpool, it was really funny, because usually when you're away, right,
yeah.
you don't really walk out with the jackets. It's when you're home you walk out with your jackets, right?
Yes.
But Liverpool walked out with the jackets because I think they were trying to hide how shocking the third kit was, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sort of like Brentford game by the afternoon and sort of McD delivery by the night.
Yeah, definitely. And the collar. You saw the
Yeah,
collar,
it's
no?
just it's what a shocking third kid. I just want to put it out there. Nike, I think, man. I mean, you have a lot of great kids out there this season, but I mean, could be doing a lot better than that. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
no, I mean it's
But
like
yeah, I
a
mean, what a
horrible
great
paint
game,
job at the collar.
man. Yeah, it's like some checkered nonsense. But it was really a great game, and yeah, really, I just so much good to say about Brentford, and I think Brentford and Leeds, that's the type of teams we want to be seeing, sort of the way
Yes,
they
definitely,
should be playing.
definitely.
Even against the big teams, like literally no negative tactics and just
Yeah,
full on going for it. And I really thought what Thomas Frank has done with Brentford with their limited budget. Even just to mention, even Ollie Watkins had come from that Brentford team, just to show the sort of talent that they can make out of fringe players looking for a second chance in their career, players looking to sort of make a name from themselves. I think Brentford is a perfect place there, and as well, Al, their atmosphere, right?
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
that place was bouncing. I
electric.
think as a Liverpool fans, I saw a lot of Liverpool fans saying they actually felt intimidated for once, you know. I
Mm,
think
mm,
going into the atmosphere was not an easy place to go to, but
yeah.
yes, I think we'll be looking forward to see more of Brentford, more of Mbuemo, Ivan Toney, and some of those players in there. But
And credit the
as well, I
goalkeeper,
think,
David Raya. But he had a
yeah,
stellar
yeah,
game.
yeah, he had a superb game as well. And I think from Liverpool's perspective, it was a chance missed to get 3 points and to really solidify that top place. But they're still top, and I think it came at a good time for Liverpool. I think there's a lot of things they could get out of that game. I think Curtis Jones had a really good performance, and he would be looking to sort of really be the energy and be that spark in that midfield to create, score goals, and sort of be the attacker in front of Fabinho and Henderson. But a lot of sort of interesting pointers for Klopp to take in terms of how to set up his defense and how to just be a little bit more solid, I think, defensively. So if they can sort of, yeah, um, make the most of the sort of what he got out of that game, I think they can kick
Yeah,
on from there, and it'll be a good
yeah.
season for them.
It
So
will.
moving on from that game, I think those were our Al and myself's picks for the best games of the weekend. And just to give a few honorable mentions to or firstly to Wolves who got their first
First
win.
win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Raul
Raul
Jimenez.
Jimenez as
So
well. Yeah, so nice to see him back here.
good to see him get a goal.
Yeah, yeah, as well as West Ham. West Ham just seem relentless. They just seem like they don't give up because it was Antonio with a late goal there to
Yeah,
clinch the game, 90th minute goal, because it was not an easy game. They were away at Ellen Road, and I think Rafinha had a really good goal.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Leeds had a few good opportunities, but it's just that sort of never give up attitude because Leeds had more of the possession, more of the ball, they had more passes and everything. But I think in terms of shots and chances, West Ham just did not give up. And towards the end, Antonio with that goal, it just seems like a different player now, Antonio, and that West
yeah.
Ham team right now.
He was definitely missed when they played Man United. Antonio gives
Right,
them
right,
that presence, that physicality in front, and
yeah,
he's been kicking off from last season because last season he had a good end to the season, and of course he's been doing well as well. Assist by
yeah.
Declan Rice as well for the late
Mm,
goal. So of course West
yeah,
Ham definitely can kick on from this too. And
yeah,
yeah, credit David Moyes. I think he's been doing a consistent job for the Hammers so far.
yeah. It seems like just a good fit for Moyes and for West
Yeah,
Ham, I think.
exactly.
Yeah, because a club like West Ham, I think a lot of people would love to see them in the Champions League.
Yeah, historical club and so on, and
Yeah,
of
I
course
mean,
Moyes as well.
yeah, yeah. So moving on, the other games, of course, Leicester and Burnley. Leicester just looking a shadow of their former selves. I mean, Burnley with the chance there to win the game in the dying
Mm,
embers, but their goal being ruled out. And Leicester with more possession, more shots, but it's just not clicking for them at the moment. I think a lot of mistakes there in especially in that back line. Their back line has been exposed a few times this
mm.
season, and yeah, I'm just not seeing that sort of intensity that they brought. Even Kasper Schmeichel, I think he had far from great game in
Yeah,
that match. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether Rogers can sort of pull this team out and get the best out of them because Leicester, I mean, that stadium, that squad, is still a good squad, and I wouldn't be ruling them out definitely, you
mm.
know. But yeah,
Well, Jamie Vardy got 2 goals at least, so of course that's a
yeah,
positive.
at least Vardy's on form, but we would you I guess that would bring the question: is he holding back the likes of Paxton Daka and Iheanacho?
Yeah, that's a good point
You know,
actually. That
yeah, I think Rogers has to be smart in terms of knowing when to play Jamie Vardy because you don't want to play him all the games of the season and then just burn him out.
mm,
You want
mm,
to sort of keep his energy, keep his sort of motivation and everything, and use that because he has three really good strikers there, you know, and he
mm.
can use the form there for a little bit of rotation to sort of challenge each other, sort of compete for places there, and sort of create this healthy competition in between the strikers there. The other game obviously was Newcastle and Watford, 1-1 draw. I think
One draw. Yeah,
Newcastle as well, I think had a less than solid start to the season, but yeah, not much to say about that game, really. The other last game, which was a Monday night game, was Crystal Palace and
Palace,
Brighton.
Brighton.
Obviously, Crystal Palace having a good game right until the end, and Neil Maupay stealing that goal. Obviously, Brighton, I think, disappointed not to end the week, match week 6 on top of the table. They could have been on top if they had beat Palace there, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're
Brighton playing Arsenal, I
minute
think, the
of
next
extra
week.
time, I think. Neil
Yeah,
Maupay.
yeah. I just saw. I think someone like Neil Maupay, he had a less than solid season last year compared to his first season when he first came,
Yeah,
and he said he was struggling a bit. But I saw that interview, because Henry was back at Sky Sports for Monday Night Football, so it was him, Carragher, and they interviewed Maupay after the game, and I think he was honest, Maupay, in his
Hmm.
post match interview. What he said was that he understands the club's reasons for wanting to go out and look for a new striker, even playing the likes of Danny Welbeck and stuff. But he said he thinks he can be that goal scorer, and he wants to be that goal scorer, and to be more consistent and to show himself in sort of to challenge, I guess, the other top scorers around the league in that sense, and to be a focal point in that Brighton team. And I truly think he can. He is the sort of player that's not gonna just. He's a
Yeah,
very aggressive player as well. He's a very intense player. I don't think he's just gonna sit down there and allow for the defenders to walk all over him. Another
yeah,
player to look out for this season, definitely.
yeah. Neil Maupay, yeah, definitely. He had
Yeah,
a good first season, but I thought last season a bit lackluster also. But
dropped off a bit,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
good to have a goal.
4 goals already this season, and he'll
Yeah,
definitely be a threat, definitely for Brighton. And props to Brighton for the way they've started. Just look to see now whether they can continue this good run form and sort of start to sort of challenge the teams, not necessarily outplay the big teams and sort of score many goals and all, but at least to have a challenge and to pose questions for all those big teams. I think that will be Brighton's ultimate goal, and maybe to end up in one of the Europa League places. That would definitely be a good goal for
yeah,
Brighton
definitely.
this
That
season.
would be the
Yeah,
best possible outcome for Graham Potter. Good manager,
yeah,
good upcoming young manager as well. So happy to
definitely,
see them kicking on too.
definitely. So ending this week's recording on a bright note there with Brighton. So yeah, we will looking forward, I guess, to Champions League as well this weekend with Villarreal visiting United at Old Trafford,
Yeah,
Liverpool visiting Porto at Estadio Dragao, Juventus against Chelsea, and
the
City
big
going to
one, City
Paris to
PSG.
play PSG. Wow.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Qatar
Messi.
versus UAE.
Yeah, definitely. Another El Clasico, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Messi.
Lots of action this week and lots to bring you for our next preview show. We'll try to do maybe a review of Champions League and a preview of the City versus Liverpool this weekend. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
another.
all from me, Jerry.
Yeah, guys, take care and see you all next week.
Sekian, terima kasih. See you all soon.
Ya,
Thanks,
terima kasih.
guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.